every weekday. So make it a date with us, because we offer you a full package, a heavy breakfast of information that is relevant to you as you go about business throughout the day. We keep you informed with what is trending and very valuable for you. So it is Good Morning Uganda, and we are here to spice up your mornings with information. Now, welcome to our Good Morning Uganda agenda, where we look at issues that concern us. We usually have a guest in studios, and we give them an in-depth analysis. And you can also be part of this segment, because you can send in your messages, you can communicate to us through our various social media platforms, but also we of late have a WhatsApp number where you can send in a message, a question, comment on the topic, and we'll be reading it, and our guest in studio always replies to all the comments that you send in. So be ready, and that is the number on your screen, 0709602592. Today we are going to be focusing in the field of education. We want to look at the fate of learners amidst COVID-19. We know education is one of the sectors that has greatly been affected by the pandemic, because we've seen schools closed right from the first address of His Excellency. That was on the 18th of March 2020, where he gave 2 days to the closure of schools. Then even when the second wave came in, we had to see that schools are closed to save around 15 million Ugandans that are school going. Some have remained closed. For example, nursery schools. It seems since last year till now, there isn't much hope of them reopening. But with me in studios to discuss this is an education consultant, a man whom I usually refer to as a man of many colors, because he's in the education sector, he's in theater. One time I was watching one of those trending Ugandan dance, Second Chance, and I saw him, one of the major actors there. He's a parent, he's an expert in the field of education, but he also has something very unique that I've learned over the time I've associated with him. He talks about the 3 schools. He says any education is centered on 3 schools. That is home, community, and that is then formal education. He says, but of late, we are focusing at only one, which is killing education in our country. That is Fragile Monday. You're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much. And good morning, viewers. Good morning, Uganda, and inspiring Uganda.
Well, it gives me great pleasure, because I remember the first time I met Fragile Monday face to face, I asked why my parents had allowed me meet such a person. That was the training at Chitante.
Then one which I do during the long holiday in January.
That was when I was in P7, I think that was
P7.
P7, yes.
Very good.
And
which year was that?
And we had to sleep outside. You move around the Kamocha.
Yes.
That's why are we being tortured? But later I learned that you are creating a full package human being.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, Fragile Monday, when we talk about the fate of learners amidst COVID-19, we know students are home, they're with parents, and some parents are stuck, are wondering, what should we be doing right now? We have these kids, which some even don't have the time, but the kids are there, and they're the parents of these children. Let's begin with the home as the first school that usually I talk about. What should be done at such a time?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, UBC, for selecting to discuss this critical matter now at this time. And also in our discussion, for us to begin at home. First of all, I want to say that you have used the word the fate of learners during the COVID period, but I want to make a difference here. I have been responsible for looking after 3 children. One is a girl in senior 1, 15 years, and another one is also a boy who did PLE. He's also 15, and there is one who was found in P2, a girl. She's now 10 years, okay? I have deliberately been experimenting, and I want you people to believe me, because of course you know I'm not a liar, and I work from what I have seen. And I said, I won't call it the fate, because all the children have not been fated. They have not suffered from the fate. Like these 3, they have not. We've been weighing it. Now, let me spend a little bit of time of explaining. I am talking about that I started looking at after these kids about 8 years ago. 8 years ago. And so I had brought them up in a special way and training them in certain areas. All right? Before COVID, all the 3 children knew how to make candles. They could make candles. 2 of them, I had bought them bicycles. They would ride and go and sell their candles. They knew how to make liquid soap. The 3 of them. Okay? They knew how to make paper bags before COVID came in. Are you getting me? I had introduced them to the world. They had attended that little training program, except one of them, the young girl of 9, the P2. Okay? I had brought them, okay? And they had attended partially the course, although they were younger than the general training age of their training. But during COVID, why am I saying, for me, I won't say they suffered the fate. Because I've been weighing, I find that these 2 girls and the boy, plus one of my grandchildren, a son of one of my grandchildren, a boy, who was a student at Makerere. That one doesn't live with me, I mean at Kirabo, but doesn't live with me. But we were able to work, I was able to work with his father, my son, and that boy benefited a lot. Now, let me put it this way. Why am I saying for them they were not fated? 1, they have learned a lot more things than what they would have learned at school. The only thing which they have missed was the formal social studies. They have improved their English, for example. They can debate now. The big boy and big girl have been to TV programs. I have moved with them. The last time we moved out, we went to train soldiers, 1,500 soldiers. They could speak in a microphone and explain matters and even lead them, guide them, lead them in physical exercise.
That is very good.
You're getting me?
Yes.
That is one angle. Yeah.
How many of them? So parents watching this show,
yes,
what should they be doing right now before schools can be open?
Very good. The first thing is to understand that you as a parent, you are the first teacher of your child. And
that I've understood.
Exactly. Number 2, that you must train yourself. You know, simply train yourself once you have understood that. Okay? Because the first thing we have to work on is the mindset.
Of the parent.
You are the trainer. Okay. You are the person who gives the foundation of this boy and girl in your home. That's why they say the home is the beginning of your education, the beginning of your training, the beginning of your building. Are you getting me? So the parent also must deliberately understand that. Number 3, he must or she must understand that education does not take place only in the school, formal school. And when I'm talking about education, this is another thing every parent must understand there. Let us stop thinking that education is doing social studies only, doing mathematics, doing science, doing a bit of English. Let us stop thinking that education means doing the chemistry, the physics, the math, or the general paper in HSC and O-level. Let us think that education is actually working on the developing of the brain of the child, making the child have, or your son and daughter having a brain that can think, a brain that can reason through understanding, a brain that can look at problems and solve them. That is education. Number 2, let us look at education that the feelings which we have. There is a saying in my language, in Uganda, which says that ememe jesula ebigere jebikera, meaning where your feelings are, or where your heart was thinking about, is where your feet will go. Meaning that the feelings we have, you have the feelings, particularly the positive feelings like joy, like excitement, like hope. Are you getting me? Those feelings are the ones that make you do what you want to do. So you must be trained in developing the positive feelings. Number 3, Education means that I have trained my body. That your child's body has been looked after because you are a human being and God gave you the gift of life so that you can be able to live the gift of life. Are you getting me? Now, most parents don't understand that. And many teachers also don't understand that. And many politicians don't understand that.
So how do parents ensure that they develop the mind, they develop the feelings, and they develop the body?
The body.
How does an ordinary person, say Kirabo, a journalist, a professional?
First of all, that's why we use an opportunity like this one here, the UBC. And as you say, I like the inspiring Uganda. Are you getting me? UBC, through a lesson like this one, through a program like this one, the parent now begins to see. And that's why I think it was good that you deliberately tuned the program like that, so that we begin to change the thinking of our mother, our father, our uncle, our grandfather, our grandmother there outside. So that's the beginning point. Number two, you look at how you learnt some of the things which you do. For example, how did I learn to speak? Are you getting me? And I will tell you, I learned to speak, and particularly to speak English, because my mother was working as a house girl, working for Bazungu here at Kitante. And she used to take me to help her, to translate for her, because she couldn't speak English. My mother had stopped learning and studying in class in P1, but she was working for some doctors or accountants, British people who had been brought to Uganda, and she used to take me there to interpret. So I learned to understand English very early. When I was in P2, I used to do my English lesson with the P4 class. Are you getting me? So you look at the great values you have got, the great skills which you have got yourself. How did you learn them? You learned them from home. So select each one of those things which you know. You could be a mechanic. Yes. How did you learn it? Teach it to your child. You could be an organizer, for example, a publicist. You could be, for example, a journalist working on a television. Have you started teaching your child how to speak clearly? You've seen these cases. I think I'm sure you have interviewed many graduates come to do jobs on UTV, and they claim they can't make a presentation, they can't even open their mouth. Are you getting me? So you begin by teaching your children whatever you learnt and have, because those skills, it is your job to pass them on to your son, to your daughter. That's the beginning. Number two, you look at, once you have understood, if you don't have something. For example, I didn't know how to make candles myself, but because of the training programs which I had started running, I knew somebody who could come and bring in train the children in the candles. Are you getting me? Or even when my own children, I used to send them to workshops. I sent one of my children after P7, I sent him, he's one of my second born, I sent him to Kamwach in a garage. Are you getting me? He spent primary 7 holiday in a garage learning, and I was introducing him to engineering. Another holiday, I pushed him to Katwe to go at Musa Bode. Are you getting me? And the boy spent there. So I did with also another brother. So what you can't do, you look for somebody who knows. You know a cameraman working in UBC, you don't know how to operate a camera, you ask him, even if it means paying him, that cameraman will train your child into being a cameraman, even at the level of P7. Are you getting me? So use the skills which you have yourself. Know that is very, very critical. Whatever you know, if you know charani, you know how to use a sewing machine, train your child using it in a training machine. Are you getting me? Okay? Bagamba Nyonyintono yayigiriza akato. It is the old one, the old bird, that teaches the young one. And this is what we should do. So, in short, whatever skill you have, pass it on to your son. And if you combine, daddy, you pass on your skills, mommy, you pass on your skills. I see uncle, Kibirige, or Thomas Chiwanuka, they pass on the skills to my son. And the children cannot fail to learn them. And they will not be fed up. No, because they are busy, they are busy, they are being kept. And what you do not know, locate. Like as I said, These 3 children I've been talking about, they learned how to make a shirt. One of them made me a shirt. I nearly wanted to put it on today, but I chose to put on this Kaunda suit. Are you getting me? Because again, the girl who chooses my clothes said, Daddy, you better put on this Kaunda suit. The girl is the one who selects my clothes.
So,
are you getting me?
You've given us what parents can do right at home now. But I want to ask you a question, which is, this is all very important. Like you said, what made you, you should pass on these skills to these children. But of late, there is so much concentration on number 3, because we're talking of home as school number 1, community, and the third is number 3, where we have formal education. And one parent would ask, are these examinable by UNEB? How relevant are these? So that's why we are craving now for formal education, because people believe it's where you're going to get the marks that are going to get you a job. Fine. It's what is relevant more at such a time.
Okay. Then, if the parent is saying, which I know, and you are very correct, and I know majority, 98% of the parents out there say, is this examinable by UNEB?
Yes.
Now, I want to use this opportunity through UBC, inspiring Uganda, to change the way you think. It is not what is examinable by UNEB that matters in the life of the child. The question you should be asking...
That is education.
No. The question you should be asking, is this required by the employer? Is this required when you are doing business? Is this required when my child is starting a business of their own? Are you getting me? What skills will you need when you want to start a radio station of your own? What skill would you need if you want to start a fashion and design business? This is what, ladies and gentlemen, we should be asking ourselves. I know it is the results of exams that people take seriously now, and this is where we have gone wrong for the last 35 years. We have gone wrong completely, and we must change that trend. It's not what is examined, okay? If what is examined would be important, then the examination would examine those skills which are necessary for living in the community, for living life. Unfortunately today, what is examined by UNEB and by the country as large, even at university level, it is not what is required by the employer or what is required for you to be able to do your own business. It is passing exams, and after you pass it, now more young people are unable to be employed and unable to make their own jobs, because we have made a mistake of examining the wrong thing. We are examining the theory. And I describe it, I say, we are doing what in the schools we're doing, cram. Pass. And after you have passed, you fail completely. My answer is, many graduates are there, but they have no jobs. Many children have done PLE, but they cannot be employed anywhere because we did not equip them with the skills which we've been talking about. And that's the revolution which we must make. And it must come now. I am sure everybody has learned that COVID has taught us one major thing, that if you don't know the skill, you are not going to earn any money. And if you know only how to do one thing only, COVID has taught you that you are a failure. And that's why people are saying, Banange COVID, mutukirize mujijewo, remove the COVID, remove the restrictions, the impediment. Are you getting me? Because somebody cannot do, because they don't have skills. And one of the reasons why the parents have failed to train their children, because they themselves don't know how many skills. Are you getting
they should
many
be
skills?
And now we rightly know that at a certain time you are going to have teachers vaccinated, those above 18 vaccinated, and school resumes. In the first wave of COVID-19, we had government come up with methods of how they were going to open schools. Unfortunately, when school was opened, we saw violation of these SOPs. We saw a number of infections in these schools. Now, how should we prepare for this time around to ensure that we do not have the mistakes? One, importantly, is psychological preparation. Even just talking about vaccination, you must prepare people psychologically. Absolutely. How should we, which direction should we move to as we head into reopening of schools?
Fine. I want to use the following words. that as Ministry of Education prepares, and we understand, I understand, the COVID is so unpredictable. Are you getting me? But as the Ministry of Education plans to reopen schools, I would like to suggest very, very, very firmly, let's not open the schools as business as usual. Let's not just open schools and expect the teachers to go on and begin teaching, expect the children to go on and begin learning. No. Particularly, one, as we reopen schools, we must make sure that we intensify how many people go to look at the teachers and look at the schools. Meaning, we must intensify the inspection of schools.
Do you have the capacity?
We must have the capacity.
You are in the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
You know these things.
And by the way, I was
the district like
I was a commissioner of inspection, and that's why I'm saying you can create it. You cannot have the capacity unless you plan for it. You get me? Don't just open schools and leave them to run on their own. Are you getting me? Use all of the people who are supposed to inspect. Let the district inspectors of schools create. You can even create other people to help you, because this is an emergency program. You can train a special group of people. The whole idea is don't leave the teacher alone, and the headmaster alone, and the parents alone, without going there to see, one, beyond the SOPs, that the SOPs are going to be followed, but to help the teacher handle this challenging job of teaching the child now. The inspection should not be there to go and close schools, no, but to help the teacher to see whether the ministry, what they have said should be taught is being taught, to ensure that the teachers are using the right methods which the ministry has said they should use. Are you getting me? You've got to be there, moving around, not threatening, but helping the teacher. Inspection must be intensified. Number two.
Just before you go to number two, let me remind our viewers that you can please join the discussion. Send our WhatsApp message on our number that is on your screen, our WhatsApp number, and we'll be reading out your questions, your observations, or your contribution. That is 0709 60 25 92. 0709 60 25 92. Please keep the messages coming in, and of course our education consultant will be responding to some of your concerns on this very topic. Number two, please, please, please don't just send back the teacher. First of all, I know the situation. Nobody is sure about how many teachers will turn up when the schools reopen. Nobody. And that's the condition which COVID has set for us. But we hope that the teachers will turn up and start or go back to the schools. Please organize a short rehabilitation, I call it a rehabilitation training program for the teachers psychologically. Remember that COVID has hit most of us mentally. There's nobody who is not suffering from a certain mood of despair. There's nobody who's not suffering from a mood of I have failed to do. There's nobody who is not suffering from a thing, Chinankwata, will I catch COVID? Are you getting me? So we've got to prepare the teachers, however short the training may be, psychologically, to psychologically, how to recover the teacher from the fate of COVID. Are you getting me? All right? Number two, we've got to prepare the teacher on how to handle these children, to understand the psychology of the children. Because remember, the children have been suffering even worse. Many of those children who will come back might even have produced children. Are you getting me? So psychologically, this teacher must be trained to remove the child from that psychology of a post-COVID. I mean, COVID is still going on. Let's not assume that the children will sit normally in the classroom and learn normally, and the teacher will teach normally, as though nothing has happened. Everybody has been shocked. Everybody has been hit psychologically. So let's prepare a psychological, a psychiatric sort of training, a short training program to help the teacher to understand the learner, and the learner also to come back and settle into a school. Then, of course, finally, we need to actually get the teacher to understand the material
which they are going to teach. Because I imagine that the ministry might have, through the National Curriculum Development Center and so on and so forth, through the organizations associated with the ministry, we will have to reframe the teaching and learning material.
Cut the syllabus.
Okay? To cut the syllabus. Because what I heard about it, and most likely that's what is going to happen, because we are not going to keep the children remain in the same class all the time. They will have to move on. Now you move on, you don't have enough time to cover the material. You will have to cut the cloth according to the size. Are you getting me? So some of the material might have to be revised, okay, cleverly as advised by NCDC and the experts of the Ministry of Education. But we must train the teacher in handling that new material. Don't assume, for goodness sake, that the teacher knows where to begin teaching. No. So this is one thing that I suggested that must be done. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, meanwhile, when the schools are reopening, we need to intensify, and I'm using this, let me use the opportunity now that I'm on UBC. We need to launch serious training programs through UBC, through the national TVs and radios, and through other radios, on how to train the parents to continue doing the school at home. Are you getting me? Yeah. And also continue training the communities. Okay? We must, through maybe our Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, let's reopen the community schools, the training programs that take place in the community. Are you getting me? While the child is going at school to school, let's reopen those training programs for the home and also for the community, so that the 3 schools run for the first time in the history of Uganda after independence, because they ran when I was still growing up. I remember there were training programs for women to look after home, at training centers, at community centers. I remember the days when community development officers used to be trainers of people. I remember even when the sub-county chiefs would move and train people. Let us resuscitate that.
Well, so much said. We should not do things business as usual, because times have changed, and we need to embark on ensuring we prepare the minds of teachers, the parents, and the students as well, if we are to successfully move forward. Allow me read a few messages here. I have one. Please have your name with us. This person did not leave the name. He says, I heard you say your children trained 1,500 soldiers. How do you think an ordinary parent can get some of these opportunities for their children? That is one. Then government schools should also begin to improvise for the construction of boarding section as long as we review the term, because he says this would limit inward and outward movement. That is a suggestion there. Still, we have a message here. Dear Fajil Mande, give us advice on the current education system that trains learners to be job seekers than job creators. Book Knowledge by Andrew Musinguzi. He gave. Then Lydia from Bale, thank you for watching. She just sent a message thanking us for the lovely and wonderful show. Then one also says this will affect even the performance in places where they are employed. But please, he says, I'm Isaiah from Kanungu. The program by former chairman UNEB is very interesting. Parents, let's practice what he is talking about. True, today children are no longer studying to understand, but to pass exams only. This will affect even the performance in places where they are employed. Those are some of the messages that are coming in. Very good. Yes. Okay, let me take the first one, that where I was giving an example that I took these 3 children, okay? And these children called me grandfather. I am not the biological father of these kids, but they have come and they are my children, and they call me Jaja, and I call them my grandchildren. The lesson to learn from them going to talk to 1,500 soldiers, learn the thing. Whenever you have an opportunity, give that child to learn from your opportunity. If you are working in a place, use this time during COVID or any time to teach your child, to bring your child to learn. There are many people, I am sure there are many people who work in UBC, but they have never brought their children to even see where UBC is. I'm sure.
Are you getting me? But bringing your child to show, this is the studio where I work, you have opened the child's eye so much, as long as you don't break the rules of the working place. Are you getting me? So for me, I train. I am called. One of the jobs I do is speaking and training. I train, for example, they call me to train parents on parenting, responsible parenting, which program I do as Fajr Monday Education Consultancy. I train parents in retirement, in parenting, and so on and so forth. So I, having the knowledge that my children will benefit, I go with them. And then also, because we have trained, by the way, two of them happen not even to know where their fathers are. Are you getting me? And that thing, whenever those kids mention it, that I don't know where my father is, I can see some people even shedding tears. I'm telling you. The word from that child is more powerful than the word from Fajr Monday, the man of 73 years. Are you getting me? Okay? So use the opportunity. If you are traveling, take your child along with you. If you are working in an office, one of these days take your child, not to go and play there, but show them what you do. If you are a mechanic, take your child where you do the repairing of the vehicles. If you are a studio person, take your child to sit there and watch, as long as you don't break a law. You are skilling your child by using what skills you have. Those children have appeared on TV programs. Because one of my gifts is doing TV programs. They can do a TV program, they speak clearly. And I told you, they have 15 years.
Let me give you the final message, about two final ones because of the interest of time. In the interest of time, have always liked you and followed you, Mr. Mande. However, we need to intensify inspections to ensure that we have enough district education officers to visit and check on some of these schools. But then there's also a very interesting one here. He says, thank you, but reminder, Mr. Fajil Mande, even before COVID, now he says he's 59 years old and has heard you say the same things over and over. But he seems to be seeing no change even when you speak. His mentor, his sergeant, saying kungu. You've said this. We had the white paper, if you remember, that is the sentence Akajubi white paper. I think that was 1992. What you're saying was embedded here, but unfortunately, it's implementation. I
think you have also had members outside there, dear parents and brothers and my friends out there, that Uganda is very good at writing policies, but very poor at implementing. Let's take it. When we speak of Uganda, we are speaking about you and me. Are you getting me? As you are watching me now, if you are running an office, make sure you are doing the work, for goodness sake. Don't be part of that. Uganda is very good at writing policies, but implementation. And that's one of the weakest problems. That's why, for example, we are continuing and even at a higher rate of getting young children getting pregnant, and we are simply conversing about it. Instead of turning it a law to make it illegal to become pregnant at a certain age. One child asked me, a child of about 12 years, Jaja, guno musango okufuna olubuto. The child doesn't know whether it's a musango or not, because we are sweet talking about it, delaying it. Our grandparents had clear punishments to stop that. Are you getting me? So let's stop talking and writing policies. You and me, we must implement. Are you getting me? Why am I doing this program? And why have you known me? When I was commissioner, I meant business. When I moved, I moved. When I said there should be science fairs were there. When we introduced education standards, minimum standards were introduced. We introduced sports, we introduced MDD, we did programs, they were there because I had the capacity to put my foot down. You have also the capacity to put your foot down and do the right thing.
Let me have your final remarks in just a minute.
My final remarks, ladies and gentlemen, this is a struggle. Let's not despair. Let's rediscover ourselves. Let's rediscover the days when the sub-county chiefs used to move around and people did what they ordered. Are you getting me? Let us rediscover where a cow would speak in a district and things are being done. Let us rediscover when a minister of education spoke, a commissioner said, and he followed down things and they did it. Are you getting me? I want to say that you have the capacity, but you have to refine, to regain it, get it out. It's you. Don't expect a Chinese to come here and change Uganda. Don't expect an American to come here and change Uganda. It's you and me to change, and to change mainly to implement what is correct. If you have heard what I've said here, begin now training your own son. If you work in the Ministry of Gender and so on and so forth, and the community development officers were silent and not working, make them begin to work now. Finally, I have some books. You can find them at Aristoc, and I think we will give them my number. Books which I've written to talk about all these things.
Good enough. Yeah. They can find them in
absolutely
in bookstores. I want to thank you so much for Jill Monday for having phone time. Key that I've noted is we need to prepare for the opening of schools, and one of them is psychological preparation. We should not just open schools as business as usual. No. There must be trainings for the teachers, for the children, to ensure that you open schools in a conducive environment. You also must beef up inspection in schools. But as of now, let's all embrace opportunities of vaccination where possible, because one of the requirements, the government is going to extend these centers to schools and universities. Have a lovely day. Stay safe. Do it for yourself. Guard yourself against COVID-19, for yourself first and your loved ones. See you tomorrow, God willing, same time. Ruben, that old man, is ready to take you through sports update.